Good morning and greetings. My name is Alvin, and it is my pleasure to be hosting today's events. To our honorable guests, Professor Dr. Gita Subramaniam from INTI International University, Malaysia, Professor Andrew Lim from Hospitality Business School, Hotel School, The Hague, Dr. Ayub Ahmed Janfakar from Vellore Institute, India, Vice President, Market Exploration, Engagement and Touchpoints, MIT, Professor Insinyur Dr. Hairul Azhar Abdul Rashid from Multimedia University, Malaysia, Rector of Universitas Tarumanagara, Profesor Dr. Insinyur Agustinus Purnairawan, MT, MM, IPU, ASEAN Eng, Vice Rector of Universitas Tarumanagara, Dr. Rashi SHMH, Heads of Institute, Heads of Office, Deans, students, and all presenters attending online and offline, welcome to the Tarumanagara International Conference on the Application of Technology and Engineering, TICATE, and Tarumanagara International Conference on the Application of Social Sciences and Humanities, or TICASH 2023, organized by Universitas Tarumanagara, a leading entrepreneurial campus located in the capital of Indonesia, driven by integrity, professionalism, and entrepreneurship values. Before we start these events, all participants please rise to sing the national anthem, Indonesia Raya, and Mars Tarumanagara.
Berjiwalah luhur dan setia.
Participants, please be seated. As a welcoming performance, a few students of Universitas Tarumanagara will perform a traditional dance from Borneo. Let's give it up for the dance group from the Faculty of Psychology, Padma Nagara. What a lovely performance from Padma Nagara. Let's give it up one more time for Padma Nagara. Now let us listen to a report from the chairperson of TICASH and TICATE 2023, Mr. Didi Widya Utama, PhD. Mr. Didi, the time is yours.
Okay. Good morning, our Honorable Rector of Tarumanegara, Professor Dr. Agustinus Purnawirawan, and Vice Rector Tarumanegara, Dr. Rasji, and our Honorable keynote speaker who attend here, Professor Gita. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Tarumanegara International Conference on the Application of Social Science and Humanities, or TICASH 2023, and the Tarumanegara International Conference on the Application of Technology and Engineering, TICATE 2023. Organizing Committee would like to warmly welcome all the delegates attending the conference at Universitas Tarumanegara, Jakarta, Indonesia. The TICASH and TICATE conference brings together professionalism from different countries to share ideas and exchange knowledge in the field of social science, humanities, technology, and engineering. This conference provides a platform for a high-level international discussion and presentation on the recent advance and the new application in this field to foster research and generate innovation to support the welfare of the global society, as stated in our theme, our conference theme: continuous research in generating innovation to support the welfare of the global society. We extend our special thanks to our rector, Professor Dr. Agustinus Purnawirawan, for initiating this international conference. We also express our gratitude to our keynote speaker, Professor Gita Subramaniam from INTI International University, Malaysia, and Professor Andrew Lim, PhD from Hospitality Business School of Hotel School, The H, and Dr. Ayub Ahmad Javenkar from Vellore Institute of Technology, India, and Professor Dr. Hairul Azhar Abdul Rashid from Multimedia University, Malaysia. We would also like to acknowledge and express our gratitude to authors, presenters, and scholars from Indonesia, Malaysia, Jamaica, Philippines, Thailand, US, India, and also Taiwan, who has contributed in the actively participated in this international conference. We appreciate your support and participation in the conference and hope it will benefit to you and enjoy this conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Didi, for the speech. Next, let us greet Rector of Untar, Professor Dr. Insinyur Agustinus Purnawirawan, MT, MM, IPO, ASEAN Eng, for the welcoming speech. Rector, the time is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the TICATE and TICASH 2023 in Universitas Tarumanegara. This year's theme is continuous research in generating innovation to support the welfare of global society. The theme was carefully chosen to represent the global condition post-COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 pandemic has created new problems that impact human lives globally. To solve this problem, new innovation is needed. Untar is one of the best, the biggest and oldest private university in Indonesia, realizes the importance of this. TICASH and TICATE are meant to be forum that facilitate exchange knowledge and experience. Diverse background of participants and speakers could provide a handful of insight to generate innovative research that support global welfare. These conferences are also form of our contribution in line of UNTAR 64th anniversary themes, global impact through quality education. We strive to create more impact to human lives globally through quality education. I would like to thank Prof. Gita from INTI International University Malaysia, Prof. Andrew Lim, my best friend from Netherlands, Dr. Ayub, my best friend from India, and Professor Engineer Dr. Hairul Asar Abdul Rashid from MMU, Malaysia, for being keynote speaker in TICASH and TICATE 2023. I would also like to thank to the Research Community Engagement Institute of Universitas Tarumanegara, especially the organizing committee, for their hard work, dedication, and commitment to make this conference possible. UNTAR is also open collaborate with other university especially with the participating institution in range area including academic visit, joint teaching program, joint research, exchange of academic materials, and student exchange, and many others. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to TICASH and TICATE 2023. Thank you very much for your attention and contribution in this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rector, for the speech. We would like to kindly ask Rector to stay on the stage, and we invite Vice Rector and Sir Didi to come up on the stage to accompany Rector to officially open the events.
Ladies and gentlemen, TICATE and TICASH 2023 officially open.
And therefore, TICATE and TICASH 2023 are officially opened. Rector, Vice Rector, and Sir Didi, could you please move to the middle of the stage for photo session? Participants in the Zoom, you may activate the camera feature. Prof. Gita and Dr. Shirley also please come up on the stage to join the gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. You may now return to your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, participants, now we are entering the first plenary session. The first session is TICASH, presenting Professor Dr. Gita Subramaniam from INTI International University Malaysia and Professor Andrew Lim from Hospitality Business School, Hotel School The Hague as speakers. And as the moderator today is Dr. Shirley Gunawan, SPFK. Dr. Shirley Gunawan, SPFK, is completed her medical doctor from the Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Tarumanegara. Continued study to clinical pharmacologist from the Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, and doctor in biomedical sciences from the Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia. Professional experience including as a lecturer in the Department of Pharmacology at the Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Tarumanegara in 2002. And Dr. Shirley currently serves as the head of Medical Doctor Profession Study Program, Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Tarumanegara. currently working in the area of development of Indonesian herbal medicine. She aspires to instill in her students the basic principles of rational medicine early and is committed to developing the research concept from bench to bed. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Shirley and Dr. Gita.
Thank you, Mr. Alvin, for your kind introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and all students. Welcome to Tarumanagara International Conferences on the Application of Social Sciences and Humanities, TICASH 2023. The conference aims to promote the exchange of ideas among researchers and scientists to introduce and discuss recent advances and applications in social sciences and humanities. TICASH this year's theme, continuous research in generating innovation to support the welfare of global society. My name is Shirley Gunawan and I will be the moderator today. As part of global community, Tarumanagara University wants to contribute positively to support the welfare of global society through this conference. And for that, we have two keynote speakers with us, Professor Dr. Gita Subramaniam. Good morning, Professor. And also Professor Andrew Lim, PhD. This conference is also conducted in hybrid settings. Therefore, we welcome to all participants who join us virtually. Good morning, Professor Andrew. So, first of all, I will introduce briefly our first keynote speaker, Prof. Gita Subramaniam. Please, committee, could you display the CV of Prof. Gita? Prof. Gita serves as Dean of the Faculty of Health of Life Sciences and Interim Pro Vice Chancellor of Academic Operation at INTI International University, Malaysia, and involved in curriculum development. Prof. Gita holds her Bachelor of Science and PhD from the University of Malaya. She has written over 45 scientific articles, participated in and presented at both local and international scientific conferences, and won some local and international awards. Her field research covers diagnostic microbiology, antibiotic resistance, and also agroeconomic waste analysis. Prof. Gita is also active in some university committees and community services. So without further ado, Prof. Gita, please welcome. Thank you very much for being with us today. Welcome to TICASH 2023.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shirley. It's my honor to be here.
So do we. Okay, so now the floor is yours, and you can deliver your speech in 20 minutes. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to extend my thanks to the organizing committee, to Dr. Didi, of course to our rector, Prof. Agustinos, our moderator, Dr. Shirley, and our other rector, Prof. Thank you very much for having me here as part of the conference. I'm honored to be a presenter this morning. Can we have the slides, please? So my topic for today is about self-reliance in nations. The pandemic taught us one thing. We need to be self-reliant and not dependent on nations. When the whole world was under shutdown, we had no choice but to depend on ourselves. The chains of transportation, international transportation all came to a halt. So we needed to do something about it. And now especially, we need to stand on our own feet. So before I go further, self-reliance in the economic perspective is actually the ability of either an individual, a household, or a community to meet the essential needs both socially and economically. So this includes food, shelter, water, protection, safety, health, and of course education. And all this in not only just a short duration, it must be in a sustainable manner so we may conduct ourselves with dignity. Next slide, please. How can this be achieved? Two ways, the two C's, commitment and capacity. Commitment is how well each country's laws, policies, actions, and informal governance mechanisms support the progress towards self-reliance. And the capacity is how far the country has come in its journey across the dimensions of political, social, and economic development, including the ability to work across these sectors. Next slide, please. So what are the objectives of self-reliance in an economy? Why is it so important? We want to avoid unnecessary import of goods that actually we can produce ourselves. So we want to achieve self-reliance because it's important for developing countries to reduce the dependency on foreign products, especially food. We have so much of talent in our countries, in Indonesia, in Malaysia. We've got so much here with us. We should gear towards being more self-reliant and less dependent on foreign goods. Next slide, please. Now, having said that, the independent agency, USAID, or United States Agency for International Development, is an independent governmental agency in the United States that offers foreign aid and development assistance, and this is quite prevalent in South America, Africa, even Asia, and some parts of Europe. Next slide, please. So USAID basically is there to provide disaster relief. In the recent disaster in Turkey, USAID was very much a prominent player, along with all the global leaders and the global contributors, including Indonesia, Malaysia. Everybody rushed to the aid, which was wonderful to see how the world came together in a disaster. USAID provides poverty relief, technical cooperation on global issues, including the environment, US bilateral interests, as well as socio-economic development. Next slide, please. So some of the transformed sectors in USAID include medicine, health, aid, electrical resources such as electricity, provision of first aid, provision of medicines, etc. Next slide, please. What we need to do and focus on is self-sufficiency. And one of the main areas that comes easily, more easily I would say, would be in agriculture. Several countries in the United States and Europe have already achieved a modicum of self-sufficiency in agriculture. Canada, for instance, they produce tons and tons of wheat that is almost enough for the huge country, so the dependency on the import of wheat is minimal. In Iceland, for example, they're completely self-sufficient with food such as meat and fish and milk. Even Norway and Russia, they're very self-sufficient where agriculture is concerned. So the dependency is less and more on other aspects of the economy. Next slide, please. Other countries such as Uruguay, Australia, New Zealand, most of them have self-sufficiency and self-reliance in agriculture because of the availability of resources, land, and they utilize that to provide for their own people first before the export is given overseas. So that actually gives them self-reliance because it reduces the need for importing certain agricultural produce. Next slide, please. So what are the factors that influence self-reliance, the need for self-reliance? The disruption of global connections and supply chains. We saw that during the pandemic. International agreements, if there are wars, there's disruption in international agreements or financial structures, Environmental problems. Climate change is a major issue now. All of us are facing it. And I'm very proud to see that UNTAR is gearing towards the Sustainable Development Goals, as is INTI. So let's work together to overcome these problems. Resource limitation, population growth. The population is booming. And if we don't do something about it, we will run out of space to grow food. So we really have to look into that, work with the biotechnology sector. And of course, ensuring self-sufficiency of energy and production of infrastructures. Next slide, please. So what do we need to become more self-reliant? Well, we need effective employment. Employ our own people instead of importing foreign workers. There are so many talents in our country. A lot of our people need jobs. Give it to them. Train them. And I see how wonderful UNTAR is doing with the training programs that they have across the country in Indonesia. It's really wonderful, and this is gearing towards self-reliance. Growth of real income of the population, expansion of the domestic market, of the main groups of competitive goods of domestic production. Produce your own, ladies and gentlemen. Weakening of the national economic dependence on imports. We want to reduce importing, use our own products. Rational use and deep processing of natural resources. Energy and water saving. This is very important, which contributes towards the climate as well. And the stable presence of domestic goods and corresponding niches in the world market today. Next slide, please. Why is economic self-reliance so important? Why do we need to do this? Because when we are economically self-reliant, we have better resilience in case there are negative economic shocks. And we all went through that recently. It's a very, very bitter memory. So those with greater resilience will suffer lower intensity that is less severe or shorter duration, which means they recover quickly, more quickly from this shock, negative economic shock. Next slide, please. The pandemic was a global crisis, and it really showed us how desperate we need to be self-reliant. The world came to a standstill, and there was nothing we could do about it. The severe negative impact on global economy during the pandemic was estimated to be a 4.5% drop in GDP, but this is an estimation. Some of the world's economists said it was much more severe than that. Next slide, please. So did the crisis provide a way for developing countries to become more self-reliant? Actually, it was quite interesting because the major countries, the major superpowers like Europe and America, they faced greater adversity during the pandemic compared to the rest of us in Asia. We recovered faster. We controlled the infection better compared to America and Europe. They had larger numbers of infections and deaths due to COVID-19. So that showed that the developing countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, India, we bounced back very quickly because we could reinvent and reboot our economies. We moved away slowly from foreign aid dependency. We were forced to, and we did it very, very well. Next slide, please. I just want to share with you a little bit about Africa's journey to self-reliance. A new mantra that was initiated by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo from Ghana is Africa Beyond Aid. Basically, they want to shift, or they are shifting from receiving aid from countries to trade, using their own resources and trading. So what they are doing is mobilizing what they have through good management, leadership, and guidance, mobilizing the country's resources, producing better products, and reducing overall the need for imported goods. So how did they do that? Through social transformation, embracing new partnerships, sub-regional trade and integration within the country, as well as private-public partnerships. So with these major reforms, Africa has started to shift from aid to trade gearing towards Africa beyond aid in their journey to self-reliance. Next slide, please. Rwanda. Many years ago, we were appalled by the situation in Rwanda. In 2000, they consolidated their internal security and liberal economic reforms in 6 key areas, which include nation building, visioning, leadership, management, decision-making and delivery, and building on what exists as well as capacity building. They started making relationships, building relationships with international bodies like Costco, Starbucks, with both companies now actually drawing on Rwanda's coffee supply through supply for their global operations. So Rwanda started from completely zero and a war-torn country with strong economic growth, providing for international brands like Costco and Starbucks. In 2018, Rwanda actually banned the import of second-hand clothes. This was a move to encourage their domestic textile industries, which was a brilliant move actually. So they reduced the reliance on international clothes, second-hand clothes, mind you, by making their own people produce textiles, produce garments. Next slide, please. Let's look at some Asian countries. Now, the trade in East Asia declined much less compared to Western countries. For example, in Vietnam, the garment textile remained operational throughout the pandemic. This was amazing. They still sold garments, they still sold material during the pandemic. Because what they did was they started manufacturing low-value clothes. Not that they were low in quality, but they were low in price, affordable for the public in Vietnam. So definitely they were geared towards buying their own garments compared to importing them. So Southeast Asian countries showed a significant e-commerce boost during the pandemic. For example, Bangladesh's e-commerce sector increased by at least 26%. So Asian countries also rallied and utilized their own talents, utilized their own products by producing more generic drugs post-pandemic without the patent-related obstacles that were imposed by foreign countries prior to the pandemic. So the pandemic actually did Asia a big favor. It made us gear towards self-reliance. Next slide, please. Again in Vietnam, the independence, self-reliance, and international integration were the key factors to national renovation, building, and safeguarding. So basically, the government in Vietnam utilized opportunities, receiving and applying advanced scientific and technological achievements, offering training of high-quality human resources. All these to contribute to the industrialization and modernization of Vietnam. So with this, the population became more equipped to provide and gear towards self-reliance. So by seizing opportunities created by globalization, Vietnam started to promote their strengths and comparative advantages of domestic products. So they enhanced labor export and increased the incomes for employees and citizens alike. So they became better, more stable, and there was a better economy all in all. Next slide, please. In Malaysia, we are gearing towards self-reliance. We're not quite there, but we're gearing towards it. There have been campaigns throughout the years on Belilah Barang Buatan Malaysia. Buy your own Malaysian-made goods. Now we are trying to empower the rural economy to eradicate rural poverty because there is a slight discrepancy between the town and the rural provinces. So we're trying to eradicate that bridge. We're trying to build a bridge to eradicate the differences. So this is strongly linked with agriculture, which is a major sector of the economy in Malaysia. And once there's an appropriate balance between our domestic needs and the exports, this will gear us towards a better self-reliance based on agriculture as well. But we need time. We need time for the agricultural sectors and related industries to develop more, right? So, next slide, please. In India, in 2020, the Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, launched a campaign called Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, which was basically to inculcate independence and self-reliance in all senses. So this was his vision from 2020, and he proclaimed this nationwide in India. So the 5 pillars he was looking at, and still is economy, infrastructure, system, vibrant demography, and demand. Next slide, please. In conclusion, self-reliance should be every nation's goal, particularly the developing nations. We require planning and strategic management and a change in the mindset of the leaders. We need to be proud of who we are, what we have. And this cannot be done overnight, the change. But if we progressively plan and execute it, it will definitely benefit us in the long run. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Gita, for your inspiring speech. Please. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, who has joined virtually, let's have a big applause one more time for Prof. Gita. So we have to hold our question for Prof. Gita because we will continue to our next speaker. Yeah. So I will greet Prof. Andrew. Good morning, Prof. Andrew. Good morning, Prof. Andrew. Can you hear me? I still cannot hear you.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Okay, we can hear you clearly now. Good morning, Prof. Andrew.
Good morning.
Nice to meet you, Prof. Andrew.
Everyone.
My name is Shirley.
Good morning, Dr. Shirley. Nice to meet you.
Welcome to TICASH, Prof. So I will introduce you briefly to the audience. Prof. Andrew is the chair of Technopreneurship and Innovation in Hospitality and Director of Entrepreneurship Hub at the Hague Hospitality Business School, Hotel School The Hague, the Netherlands. Next to his research activities, Prof. Andrew teaches a strategic management course, also an adjunct professor of entrepreneurship and strategy at Tilburg University. Prof. Andrew holds a bachelor in mechanical engineering from Trisakti University, that's our neighbor, Prof. And Master of Science in International Business from the University Groningen, and PhD in Industrial Engineering and Innovation Sciences from the Eindhoven University of Technology. So, Prof. Andrew, that's my introduction for you. Now the floor is yours, and your time is 20 minutes, please.
Thank you very much for the nice introduction, Dr. Shirley. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation to the organization, to UNTAR. In particular, also for my best friend, Professor Agus, the Pak Rektor. Thank you for the invitation. Happy to join for this session. And of course, ladies and gentlemen who join, good morning, happy to be here. Am I supposed to share my screen, or the slides will be shared by the organization?
Maybe you can share the screen, Prof.
Okay, yeah, I will.
Yeah, thank you.
Give me 1 minute. Can you see my screen now?
Still loading? Okay, it's clear. Okay, you can.
Okay. All right, thank you. So for this morning, I would like to share with you what we as at hospitality school, hospitality business school do in terms of applied science research in contributing to business innovation. So before to start with, I would like to briefly introduce who we are as hospitality business school. We are Hospitality Business School The Hague, Hotel School The Hague, also known as Hotel School The Hague. We were established in 1929, so quite an old university. Basically, we are independent. It's a public international hospitality business school, very niche, very specialized, but we are also very international. We have about more than 75 nationalities actually at the moment, with 2 campuses in The Hague and in Amsterdam. Originally started in The Hague, but since about 10 years ago also expanded to Amsterdam. We offer only one single bachelor program, which is Bachelor in Business Administration in Hospitality Management. And we also have one pre-master program, one master program in leading transformation, and one MBA program in hospitality. Well, we are at the moment ranked number 9 for hospitality management worldwide, and we are ranked as the best public hospitality management school in the Netherlands itself, and we are also in the top 4 of the CEO World magazine in Europe. These are some of our achievements. So we are small, but we are quite okay with our achievements, I guess. What makes us unique? So basically, as mentioned, we are small scale education. That's why we only keep on having this very unique setup. We have very strong community and network worldwide. And what in particular, what I would like to talk about is the combination of theory, practice, and research, which is a mix between academic and practical knowledge. And that's where I'm going to zoom in today, this morning, to share with you. Why? Because if we take a look at the 5 latest trends in hospitality, for instance, these are the 5 quite latest trends in hospitality that we have seen. First of all, it starts with the design in the hotels, for instance. It tends to be minimalized and very natural. Okay, so it has less clutter and simple interior with simple interiors. No fancy stuff, but really tend to go with the nature. And it probably has to do with the second one, which is about the increase of sustainability and ecotourism. Lots of consumers, lots of travelers, they really concerned about sustainability issues. They're really concerned about the climate change issues, for instance. And because of that, we also see that lots of sustainable decorations, lots of sustainable elements keep coming back in the design of hotels, among others. Also related to that, or related to the sustainability issue, we also see a change in consumer behavior, where healthy food and beverages, demand for healthy food and beverages have been increasing. That includes also vegan or organic and gluten-free meals. More and more consumers aiming for that. Those are in terms of the hotels and how consumers behavior. Then the next trend is about smart technology, the use of smart technology by companies in hospitality businesses. We all, of course, know how AI have been increasing the use of ChatGPT, for instance, as we all are aware of, being used very widely, not only for education, but ChatGPT models AI being used in hospitality business as well. They try to use AI to have more accurate prediction, for instance, more accurate pricing, and also to take into account the consumers' needs and wants using AI, so that again try to match their needs and wants based on that. And finally, the last trend is about personalization for loyal guests. So meaning that we see more and more personalized preferences from guests, and that's how the hotel companies, the business in hospitality, try to capture the value from that by providing how they actually would like to have personalized services. So these are the 5 latest trends in hospitality at the moment. So as an answer to this, we as Entrepreneurship Hub, we as Hospitality Business School, so I launched Entrepreneurship Hub about 6 years ago, and the idea is to also address all those 5 issues. And in addressing those 5 issues, in particular, based on my chair as well, because I'm really interested in technopreneurs. What we mean by technopreneurs, basically technology-based companies in hospitality business. Now we have lots of examples for that. One probably a famous one is Booking.com, or maybe even Airbnb, as people know. Those are the booking platforms. One is already quite old, so to say, quite established, one of the big players in the market for distribution. Almost all hotels are having their distribution channel through Booking.com. Airbnb, on the other hand, it's kind of like the sharing platform for room sharing, house sharing, but still distribution channel. So those are the typical examples of techpreneurs. Now, at Entrepreneurship Hub, what we do is we try to see, okay, what technology would be next, and how this technology can be utilized by the techpreneurs in capturing again the value and to play their role in hospitality business. That's one team within the hub. The other team also with regard to the personalized as well. We also take a look at what are the personality traits for hospitality students that we have at the moment who would like to become entrepreneurs. What are the competencies, hospitality competencies? Because in our studies, we also acknowledge that there are hospitality competencies from the people. And how is that when comparing to the entrepreneurial competencies? So we are looking into that. Are they complementary, for instance, or are they not, perhaps? And finally, clearly with regard to the social issues, 3 of the trends are related to sustainability. So that's where we also take a look at social and sustainability issues. We are having projects about food waste, for instance, with collaboration with some other universities. And we also take a look at, among other, sustainability issues for hotels, in particular sustainable energy use for hotels. So these are basically 3 main themes that we have, of course not limited to that, but the 3 main themes that we have within the Entrepreneurship Hub. So in a way, what is Entrepreneurship Hub? We can say that it's actually a lab where our students our alumni, even for industry who are within our network, who would like to develop new business. So that's kind of like that's a lab where they can practice, where they can try to develop their businesses, and in a way that will also become the business being launched by us, by the hub. So, which means in a way we are entrepreneurship hub, we are an incubator as well. And as an incubator, as a hub, we would like to become, you know, kind of like the um, the connecting pin for the startup community in our industry. So we try to connect the startups who can be typically our students, but also alumni who come back and say, hey, we would like to develop our businesses, but we need some help, we need some support. That's where we are stand for. We also provide coaches, typically from faculty members with each other's specialty of area of expertise. For instance, if a business needs more development in terms of the marketing plan, for instance, then we have the marketing lecturer who would be able to help, or also in terms of finding or creating a financial plan. We also have our finance teachers or finance lecturer who would be willing to help. And of course, we can also become mentors. So all the faculty members can become mentors. Also, the alumni who have been successful in their businesses, they're willing to share and you know, acting as mentors for these new startups. So that's basically what we do. And in doing that, we do a lot of from the hub in itself. So on top of practicality in helping the development of the businesses, we as the member of the hub and myself, in a way, use all those businesses as our case study, because what we do, in a way, it's a design-based research as our typical methodology. We try to use apply this method in helping them in developing the business, and at the same time we can use them as our case study that we can also use in our research and teaching. We also organize business workshops. So every academic block, or our academic block is we have 2 academic blocks in 2 semesters, in 1 semester. So we organize 2 workshops in 1 semester basically, and each workshop has a certain theme. So for instance, this block, just past block, we just organized a workshop in terms of connecting with venture capitals, for instance, and then the other next block we're going to have a workshop with regard to business model, for instance. Next to the workshops, we also have inspirative sessions where we invite our alumni to give to share their experiences in starting up their businesses, and it is mostly combined as well with networking events. So alumni comes to our event basically, and having a sharing moment. We even once have an event what we used to have, but for some reasons we don't have that anymore. It's kind of like quite a nice session actually, quite inspirative, but I think due to Corona, of course, we couldn't have it anymore. It can also be very emotional, because basically that event is specialized for alumni sharing their failures in the business, so to say. And we even call that that event, because we organize that once per month on Fridays. We call that event Fucked Up Friday actually. So meaning that for people who basically have been in difficult situation. So as mentioned, we basically use action research because again we combine theory and practice um, um, and make case studies. So just to give examples, three startup graduated already, and they still exist in their business. They started when they were still students. They used their businesses even as their final project, and now they are moving on with their businesses. One is Muramune. Basically, Muramune is a company who produced the strap for your watch and belts, but made of sustainable, I think sustainable algae and basically sustainable materials. And for the order, you can also follow from the beginning till the end online on their platform. We also have StarterKit. Basically, a group of students started their business online, in helping students who especially international students who just started in the Netherlands, by providing online services for their daily needs, in particular when they just start moving into the Netherlands. And finally, Shifly, which is a platform that match between the students or people who want to work part-time to the restaurants or hotels or other businesses who need part-time people. And not only that they create the match, but they also help in the administrative part for the working people, for the students. So those are the three examples of the students who have built these technology-based companies during their studies and have successfully launched the business as well. So what have we learned here? So basically what we have learned is that we as Entrepreneurship Hub have the role in applied science research as incubator for technopreneurship, but of course, again, not only we are not limited to technology-based entrepreneurs only. We also have quite some entrepreneurs who start up their own hotels and restaurants and cafe. But yes, we in particular try to encourage more new technopreneurs. So because the message is that actually that even though there are hospitality business students, but can also be a technopreneurs. What we also have learned is that the value of network. We have a very strong network where lots of our alumni are successful people in the business, in hospitality business, of course, in particular, and they are willing to help when we ask. And in a way, we as Entrepreneurship Hub also become a learning community where students, alumni, and faculty members can learn from each other, can share from each other in this applied science research, in combining theory and practice. And that's what I would like to share for today. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Professor Andrew. Let's give a big applause for Professor Andrew. Audience, let me remind all of the participants to give the questions through the QR code that has been given in the chat column in the Zoom. So, Prof. Andrew and Prof. Gita, let's start the discussion. There are several questions from the participants. Firstly, I will ask to Prof. Gita a question from Ibu Niluh Putu Agung Chandra from Mechanical Engineering. The question is, how does an international bilateral relationship affect self-reliance in society?
Very good question. Thank you very much. So basically, when we have bilateral relationships, there is goodwill among both countries. So for trade, economy, etc. But just because we are self-reliant, it doesn't mean we are going to completely cut off trade. We can we are not completely dependent on import of goods. That is the meaning of self-reliant. We become more independent, but what we cannot produce ourselves, we can still actually import from our the countries that we have the bilateral relations from. So we are not going to spoil that. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, hopefully the question has been answered. So, Prof. Gita, what do you think about the self-reliance itself in Indonesia, in your perspective?
I think from what I've observed, discussions with Prof. Agustinos and some of your staff, Pak Didi and all that, I think you all are really doing a very good job. You all are really gearing towards self-reliance, because I see a lot of products are Indonesian, made in Indonesia. You are projecting your products, you are making sure that the community is developed, you are helping the community. I saw the videos from Untar, they were very impressive. So I'm very happy to see that definitely self-reliance is something that Indonesia will accomplish very, very soon, maybe faster than a lot of other nations.
Yeah, hopefully, because the government under President Jokowi also support us.
Yes.
Yes, support the UMKM to develop bigger and bigger.
Yes,
yeah.
of course.
Okay, so we move to next question. For Prof. Gita, it's coming from a student. So, as a student, how do we can participate and contribute for developing our nation?
That's a wonderful question, and it's lovely to see it's coming from a student. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of your country. Use what you have studied, and whenever you can, give back to society. Help the nation. And you will definitely be contributing to the development of your country.
Okay, that's all?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Randy Priyatin Priyanto, for the question. Hopefully you can contribute as much as you can to our alma mater Untar also. Okay, next to Professor Andrew. Prof. Andrew, we have one question from Dr. Didi about the application of many restaurants nowadays elaborate technology like automatization and robotics to replace waiters and chefs. How does this trend from a business perspective? Will this trend be sustainable or just hype? Please, Prof. Andrew.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Didi. Very good question, actually, and this is something that has been kind of like a debate in the past years, actually. So let me answer it. Try to be more specific in the use of robotics. By any chance, of course, robotics, it's not something new, as we all know. Robotics have been used a lot in manufacturing. But why robotics actually, in particular robots, have been kind of like being pushed a little bit, and it tends to become a hype at the moment. In Europe, we have one big issues in terms of, in particular in the Netherlands, we have one big issues in terms of finding employees, in particular in hospitality business. So there is a trend where after COVID, employees feel like, well, working in hospitality business is not a stable job, it's not a stable career. Once there is this pandemic, then our job will be gone, the first thing to do. Now, in anticipating to that, that's when the businesses start thinking about alternatives, also in finding human being in providing services, so to say. So certain services can be replaced with robots, and that's when we try to take a look at this alternative. Is it a hype? Probably, but as long as it can be an answer, at least temporarily, to replace the needs in workforce. I think this can be a way out. Whether it has adding value to the business itself, questionable. But at least at the moment it has a certain function in bridging the gap in finding the workforce. Hope that answers for now.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Andrew. Next question is also for you, coming from Mr. Simon Wenehan Nubun from Universitas Multimedia. So the question is, you share about the concept of entrepreneurship involving alumni and universities. To what extent is the government involved in building innovation at your university? Does the concept use the triple helix innovation model?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Simon. The government's role in this, it's more rather indirectly, I think. In a way it does, because the government's role here is more providing, in the Netherlands, the government's role is more stimulating entrepreneurs in general. So what they do is that the governments have some incentives for startups, definitely in terms of tax, but next to that, the government also have funding, what they call as innovation funding for startups who are quite innovative. Of course, there are some criteria that the startup needs to fulfill to be able to get that funding, but that's the only contribution or the only involvement of the government. Hope that answers.
Okay, hopefully that answers. Thank you, Prof. Andrew. There are still some questions for Prof. Gita, coming from Prof. Karunia Mulia Firdausi, one of our lecturer, our professor from Faculty of Economy and Business. So the question is, hello Prof. Gita, very interesting discussion. Your view on self-reliance, perhaps de-globalization if you like, for me disturbed me so much. I think problems that we face today is how can make globalization's benefits or works to all. To convince me of the importance of self-reliance. As such, as suggested, I think you need to be, wait a second. You need to provide us data. Not only based on your views or trends that happens today. Please, Prof. Gita.
Thank you, Prof, for the question. Yes, of course, my presentation today was based on case studies that I have observed from different countries, Rwanda, Vietnam, India, even Malaysia, and Africa. So what I'm trying to say is, as nations, of course globalization is important, and self-reliance doesn't mean cutting yourself completely off from global trade. Far from it. But it's making yourself more self-reliant. It's making yourself rely more on your resources, utilizing your resources, and reducing the financial burden of your country for having to import more goods, because we've got so much of resources that we have. Why don't we utilize it? So yes, that is a view, and I agree with you, I should give you more data. But currently, this discussion was basically an overview of case studies, so do excuse me, but I agree with you, data is important. I hope that answers your question, or your comment.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Gita, because it's a keynote speech. We can discuss many more later, supported with data. And also, maybe we can develop a collaboration project between Tarumanegara University and Indie College.
That would be wonderful, yes.
Yeah, particularly
yes.
between Prof. Gita and Prof. Karunia.
Yes,
That will be
yes.
very, very...
I would be very keen to collaborate and gather some data, actual data with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Karunia, for the question. Ladies and gentlemen, all participants still remind we still have some time for discussion. We still wait for another questions in the QR code that has been shared, the link of QR code in the Zoom link. So, Prof. Andrew, you mentioned just now about the incubator. From your perspective, actually I come from School of Medicine. How to develop incubator in School of Medicine, please? Please advise.
Oh, that's a good one. To be honest, I've never seen any incubator coming from any medicine school, but I do have seen there are some entrepreneurs coming from medicine schools, and of course, not surprising that they are, of course, in startups in medical related business, such as medical equipments. But in general, in starting up an incubator, of course, we need our resources. One quite important one is, of course, space, kind of like collaboration, space for collaboration, working space, and that's kind of like the basic, I would say. And then after that, and of course, the people who are willing to support in helping. And from there, you just need to decide what would be the business model for the incubator. Some incubators, they talk about having small shares in the business. Others talk about pure kind of like rentals as the business model. So it varies. But I'm not sure if for medicine, if there are any specific needs that would be needed. That's something that I can imagine. Of course, there might be some more heavy laboratory equipments needed, because typically then it would involve some lab works.
Yeah, laboratory that we can develop more advanced, to develop the incubator. Thank you for the advice, Prof. Andrew. So, if there's no more question for our two keynote speakers, so thank you very much once again. Before we close this session, let me wrap up for this session, first session for TICASH, that it is very important to note that achieving self-reliance is a long-term and complex process that requires coordinated efforts across multiple sectors of the economy and also society. And also for Prof. Andrew's topic, applying scientific research to business innovations is an ongoing process that also requires a commitment to learning and adaptation. By leveraging scientific insight and research findings, business can stay competitive, develop groundbreaking products and services, and also address complex challenges effectively. So all the participants of TICASH 2023, thank you very much for all the participants. Thank you once again for our very, very inspiring keynote speaker, Prof. Gita, and also Prof. Andrew. So see you next year. Thank you.
Dr. Shelby, thank you, Professor Gita, Professor Andrew. As a token of appreciation, please accept this certificate, Professor Gita and Dr. Shelby. You can move to the center of stage. Thank you, Professor Gita. And for Professor Andrew, please accept this e-certificate as a part of appreciation from us. Thank you. Participants, after this we will be having the plenary session tour. Please don't go anywhere as the session will be starting soon. Thank you and please enjoy our company profile.
Mengantar langkah kecil menuju impian besar yang menjadi kenyataan. Terinspirasi dari kisah kerajaan Tarumanagara yang membuat rakyatnya sejahtera. Universitas Tarumanagara selalu menempa para mahasiswanya. 8 fakultas di Universitas Tarumanagara siap mendukung spirit memenangkan masa depan yang semakin ketat. We build today to win the future. Kini, Untar didukung lebih dari 1.000 dosen berkualitas yang turut membentuk pembangunan karakter positif dan kuat mahasiswa atau Untarian. Mengambil peluang bekerja sama dalam tim, menempuh resiko untuk pencapaian yang akurat, dengan tetap menghargai orang lain, mengasah sisi praktis keilmuan, dengan pengalaman praktek kekinian yang mengena, menempatkan kreativitas sebagai sumbu utama saat mencipta dan berinovasi. Menghasilkan generasi pemimpin yang berintegritas, profesional, dan berjiwa wirausaha adalah komitmen kami. The future is yours to define. Universitas Tarumanagara.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we are entering the second plenary session. The second session is TICATE, the Tarumanagara International Conference on the Applications of Engineering and Technology. Presenting Dr. Ayub Ahmed Janfakar from Vellore Institute, India, and Vice President for Market Exploration, Engagement and Touchpoints, or MATE, of Multimedia University, Malaysia, Professor Insinyur Dr. Harul Azhar Abdul Rashid as speakers. And as the moderator today is Dr. Shirley Gunawan, SPFK. Dr. Shirley, you may now lead the second plenary session.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alvin. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to next session of the conference. Welcome to Tarumanagara International Conference in the Application of Technology and Engineering, TICATE 2023. This conference presents a high-level international forum to introduce and discuss recent advances, new techniques and applications in the field of technology and engineering and their related application in industries and humanities. TICATE's this year's theme continues research in generating innovations to support the welfare of global society. My name is Shirley Gunawan and I will be the moderator today until the end of the program. And now we have two keynote speakers with us for the TICATE. Professor IR Dr. Hairul Azhar Abdul Rashid, and Dr. Ayub Ahmed Javenkar. The conference conducted in a hybrid setting. Welcome again to all participants who has joined us virtually. So now let me introduce our first keynote speaker for TICATE, Dr. Ayub Ahmed Javenkar. Dr. Ayub, presently working as assistant professor in School of Mechanical Engineering at VIT University, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. Dr. Ayub holds, for the educational background, Bachelor of Engineering from SDM Dharwad under VT University, India, and Master of Technology from SDM Dharwad under VT University, India, and Doctor of Philosophy from University Science Malaysia. Now, Dr. Ayub works as assistant professor. He also received research awards Sanggar Sajung 2018 Malaysia for excellent achievement in journal publications, and worked at National Aerospace Laboratory, Bangalore, India. Now let me greet Dr. Ayub. Good morning, Dr. Ayub.
Hello, very good morning. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Professor Lee?
Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to see you.
Thank you.
I wish I could come physically, but somehow we are meeting virtually. Because I had come to Untar, I think twice in before COVID, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been really nice to be part of this TICATE for about 4 years in a row.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah.
Thank you. It's an honor for us to
Yes.
invite you as a speaker. Okay, so now the time is yours, and you have 20 minutes.
Okay,
Please.
let me try to share the entire screen. Part screen. Is your presentation visible? Just anyone quickly get me. Yes, Professor Lee, can you able to tell whether my screen is visible presentation?
Yes, it's all set up.
Yes, okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've been working on multiple things. So recently, I'm still focusing on the base of something called as burners. So I'll be titled to be like recent advances in burner technologies for domestic and commercial applications. Before stepping ahead about my research work and this work, on my new horizontal vertical that I've been focusing to expand the new technologies. I just want to give about some information about what actually I'm working, what is my the university. The university is working as BIT, the World Institute of Technology, is one of the oldest university in our country. We are founded in 1984, and we have one of the finest feathers that is attached with this university. We have our most recognized ranking system. We are called as NIRF ranking. So among that, we are about at the position 11. So which is a very proud moment for us. When you talk about the global impact, so we are about 899th ranking. When we speak with respect to Asia, so we are standing nearly about 55. When it comes specifically to engineering and technology, so we are somewhere about 240. By the concept of QS ranking, so based on that we stand at 9 in the country. Going at the location, just to if some students want to know where geographically is there, so just taking a swift overview. This India, the countries, Malaysia, Singapore, definitely Indonesia, okay, somewhere in the south, okay, so just to have a visual view. So to start with, I would directly step into my work, what actually I do, and what are the recent advances, and what are my future plans, okay. I'm working on a very simple concept, something called as combustion. As you know, combustion is just a very simple concept wherein we have a fuel and we need to burn it efficiently, right? So as to produce heat, because combustion and then the flame. Okay. So the device is called as burner. So I believe the students, most of you have already seen this. They call it as a Bunsen burner also. But basically, they are going to burn the fuel, right? Controlling oxygen, right? Trying to reduce the heat. So there are different types of flame. We'll go through it as in the upcoming slides. Okay. So the interesting thing or the interesting technology that is running these days and attracted many researchers here is when we try to put something called as PM or porous media inside this region. Okay, so we have gas and we do have and air for supply and as a flame. So what we do is we try to use something called as porous media inside the burner and we try to see the behavior of the flame, how effectively the fuel is going to burn and convert into energy that is called as exothermic reaction. Okay. So they have various applications of burners, like starting from domestic. I know I think almost all the houses still running on this stoves. Industrial sector, restaurant, everyone needs burner. Hence, even 1 to 2% of increase in efficiency going to matter a lot. Okay. Because globally there are millions of burners that are going to fulfill our human needs on day-to-day basis. Okay. So there's continuous and huge amount of research that has always been active, and researchers have one of the researcher who always focuses try to use even a drop of the fuel, even a drop of the fuel if you can able to reduce. So and if you can come up with some better ideas, so that can really benefit the whole community. So the recent advances, I just pulled out few of the recent papers that have been doing really new ideas in the combustion stream, other one for petrol energy and fuel. In case of here, they are trying to induce an ammonia hydrogen fuel bed, okay, to enhance overall efficiency, whereas they are coming up with a new design of two-stage of porous media for syngas as replacement. And similar way, they are also focusing on premix concept using propane and in combination. So the idea here is to tell that uh, these burners raised till today because the research has been active for almost more than 2 decades, but still it is trending because there is a need. Okay, because we have to move towards renewable resources because some of the base or the backbone of the big industries are still burners. Okay, so overnight we cannot replace them, but we can look for better alternatives to them or optimize the existing technologies. So what we do is we cannot build a huge complete setup. What we do is we narrow down or we cut down and try to understand a very simple case. Okay. So what we do is we just take a small cylindrical burner, okay, and try to create multiple layers, okay, wherein we can change around with different materials, for example, alumina, zirconia, silicon carbide, okay, and you want to see and play around with respect to different materials. Okay. What will be the behavior of the flame on the top? That's the main intention. Furthermore, we also try to play around with respect to different air plus fuel ratio. Mainly, since I told combustion is very complex phenomena, in some focus by considering liquid fuels because I'm more focused on gaseous fuels, butane, propane, and hydrogen. So we have set up. So basically, we do require a flow for fuel air, and we continuously monitor two things. First thing is we need to look for temperature profiles for what something called as emissions. Okay, so definitely when a burner is set up based upon some innovative idea or based upon some study that is happening, we try to change the shape, we try to play around with different type of materials and try to focus on efficiency and and emissions and try to see what best can be done so as to optimize the overall efficiency of the burner. So in my past study, so we have taken about alumina as foam, and there's something called as discrete or ball-shaped materials. Okay, so when you have a series of ball-shaped materials placed one below the other in particular order, so it will come a shape wherein a mixture of fuel and air will going to have enough time here inside because surface area is going to increase and unfortunately a better combustion going to happen and a length of the flame and the amount of heat generated is very so far we have seen by changing around with respect to different materials as I told silicon is a is there. We also try to change or embed them with respect to foam materials. So here this is an example for porcelain. If we have aluminum, and we try to change the thickness as well as the pore size, and we have got some really interesting results. That first time we can able to develop a burner. Okay, develop a burner that can have two different types of flames. Okay, there's something flame called surface flame, the flame that is available or that can be generated on the top. Okay, and there is another flame. Okay, that will be going to run inside the course media. Okay, that we call the submerged flame. Okay, so without actually changing the configuration of porous media, we can able to get both surfaces submerged flame just by changing the ER, it's called as equivalence ratio. So that concept was developed by our research. Furthermore, just to give a highlight about various combinations that we have tried. So we tried with aluminum foam, zirconia in the ball form, again with porcelain. So we tried with multiple productions and we have got some interesting results, visual results, and some graphs. So we can see the stability of the flame is really good. Okay, this is going to happen only if uh, the combination of fuel and air is maintained and better combustion happens inside the porous media. And correspondingly, if you can see, foam can able to generate flame that we call as submerged flame. Okay, that runs inside. You see, visually there is no flame that is propagating above the surface. So whatever flame is there, that is runs inside the porous media. So the amount of the kind of energy that will going to come out from the surface is a radiation energy. Okay, it's really interesting to see the way the burner behaves when you are playing around with respect to the equivalence ratio. So similarly, we try to have the impact on various materials. So we try to see the flame is not so stable as compared to that of foam, but still it is slightly better if you are considering with respect to the conventional principle. So when it comes to data, what we do is we try to vary the ER equivalence ratio. We try to vary the equivalence ratio from ER1, ER1 to go on reducing, trying to go ahead with respect to lean. When you say with respect to lean, so we are supplying the oxygen is more, N2 is more, okay, as compared to the amount of fuel. So what we can see as we go on reducing, the, the type of the flame will going to move from surface flame to submerged. Okay, so we need not to change the course media. Okay, so as to achieve particular just by playing around with fuel and air ratio, we can easily able to generate surface and submerged flame. But when you're getting the surface flame based upon our condition, so we're supplying about 0.1 butane liters per minute, and we are continuously increasing the air. Okay, so maximum we can able to get about 700 degrees Celsius. Okay, so when I say it's of submerged, it's very less or 400 because but the energy what we're getting is pure radiation. Further, we want to double ensure that is there any localized combustion or any dead spot that is running inside. So what we do, we use a thermal camera just to ensure how is the variation in the combustion zone. So definitely, as per our understanding, so there is a gradual reduction. It's been noticed from the top region or the top layer to the bottom one. So like this, the similar captures were done across various combinations. Furthermore, we have also need to capture what we call as emissions because the burners are not very not the device that are going to reduce the emission small number because these burners are very large up to 2 3 meters also in diameter and sometimes their efficiency is very low and the amount of emissions that is generated is very huge. We are mainly focused on CO and NOx, okay, monoxide and the other NOx, NO1, NO2, 3. These have a direct impact on the environment. Hence, our all the certification for the industries to run these burners need to have a lower NOx and CO values. So you can see at the very early stage of this work, we have seen NOx getting up to 10 to 12, whereas CO was ranging about maximum 50 to 100. Further, see burners, we just want to get optimized with respect to the design and other things. We also want to make it more flavor or taste of making them renewable approach. Okay? Because most of the burners when you're using in the restaurant, they're just plugging in and just trying to have an open cylinder. Just there is mixing happens. Uh, is an open environment. Hence, more than 30 to 40% fuel will get wasted without actually getting burned and just left out in the atmosphere. So once we have porous media, so there is a certain substance in between the flame and the chamber. Okay, that region, if you can add up with some base vegetable oil or vegetable oil, okay, so millions of tons of oil from the restaurants get collected, okay, and disposing of these waste vegetable oil, okay, it's a real challenge. See, most of the oil when the restaurants are manufacturing, see, all these bakery items or packed food, the disposal of oil is a big challenge for firms and industries. So what they do is they normally bury inside soil, or sometimes they also float inside the ocean, so that might damage or that can affect in the marine life or also become uncomfortable situation for living in here if you bury it inside the soil. So what they do is, what we have come up with an idea is, why not we integrate a small portion of the oil and try to see what will can be the behavior. So what we can see in this, so before and after, we try to take some SEM images, so that on the microscopic level we can able to find out whether the impact of this oil, okay, whether it will increase efficiency marginally, or what can be the behavior or the structural analysis for the porous media. So we can see that there is a deposition, and but there was an increase in emission, but the overall efficiency was increased up to 4%. Okay. So we have done very small quantity up to 12 to 60 and up to 80 liters, because the burner size what we have used is a test case, it is very small. The same thing can be applied for a larger diameter, hence large amount of fuel can be utilized. Okay, we also want to see on XRD plot. So what can be the behavior? So more or less 30% about combustion. So nothing much interesting that we can able to see is XRD. Further, see running multiple tests is really challenging because it takes uh, hundreds of hours, because uh, each time we're taking the reading, we normalize, come up with again a stable surrounding condition, then only we can able to get the proper results. Hence, we also focus on simulation since combustion is extremely complex Getting in working with respect to 3D has been really challenge. So, but still we can able to generate some flame temperatures and NOx and CO, and the results were very much acceptable. So just to have a small conclusion, so the better ER of 0.677, and we can able to have better both lean and rich, but lean condition would have much better results, and 4% of increase was increased when we talk about with respect to taking it vegetable oil inside the combustion. Yeah, we have some publication that publish about 8 to 10. We have one that published in International Journal of Energy and other good things. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, but I took it late.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ayub, for the presentation. Let's give Dr. Ayub applause. So the audience, let me remind you to put all the questions in the question box that has been shared in the Zoom. So we'll continue to our next keynote speaker in TICATE, Professor IR Dr. Hairul Ashar Abdul Rashid. Professor Hairul was a professor at the Faculty of Engineering, focusing on specialty optical fiber devices and sensors. Currently serving as the Vice President, Market Exploration, Engagement and Touchpoints, MEET. Holds PhD in Optical Communication Systems from Multimedia University, Malaysia. Now serve MMU already over 25 years in several leadership capacities, including Director RMC, Dean of Research and Director for Research Collaborations. Prof. Hairul has published more than 100 journals and participated in conference papers, has filed 2 patents and granted 6 industrial designs. In 2014, has awarded Top Research Scientist Malaysia by Academy of Sciences Malaysia. And now Prof. Hairul also been active in the social sphere, serving in several capacities within MMU and externally. So let me greet Prof. Hairul. Good morning, Prof. Hairul.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Nice to meet you, Prof. Hairul. Welcome to TICATE, Tarumanegara University. Thank you for joining us today. So now the floor is yours. Your time is 20 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and inviting me to TICATE 2023. Gives me great pleasure to present today. Would have been better if I was there, but then again, I think we live in a much connected world today, so we can still present virtually. So can you see the screen now? Let me just...
Yes, I can see clearly.
Okay. So, so good morning, everyone. My talk today will probably not be as technical as Dr. Ayub earlier, but then again, I think it's something related to the theme of the TICATE organized by UNTAR or Universitas Tarumanegara, which is on continuous research in generating innovation to support the welfare of global society. And in my presentation, I think it's important to highlight humanizing innovation, or making use or making innovation useful for society. And I think the way forward for that is to have more collaboration. And oops, sorry about that. Let me just introduce quickly MMU, Multimedia University. We are a private university established in 1997. We are a wholly owned university by Telekom Malaysia. I think very similar to Indonesia's Telkom. Yeah. And so I'd like to begin my talk today by citing an example. I guess it's something that we went through, my group and I, which is very much looking at fiber optics or specialty optical fiber. Although we started off working on communications, later on we moved into fiber optic sensing, and in particular we looked at using of fiber optics for sensing radiation, and in particular the ones used in radiotherapy to treat cancer patients. It all started in 2013, where we worked with a few universities and also Telecom R&D and the Nuclear Agency of Malaysia, working on specialty optical fibers that is specifically used for measuring radiation or radiation dosimetry. So we worked on quite a few different types of optical fiber. Some were doped, some were not doped, and we fabricated this fiber in our own facility. That later on, because of the collaboration, brought in people from medical physics like Professor Bradley, myself in optical fiber, Zubair, who was my PhD student, Sayuti and Mizan, who was also part of the team, leading to the establishment of a spin-off company called LumiScience. And all that, I believe, was only made possible because of the collaboration that had taken place earlier, and bringing in together experiences, expertise, facilities, and the collaborators had complemented each other with all their strengths to come up with the technology of a fiber optics dosimetry system. Yeah. So given that, I believe as an example, was with the intention to strengthen the idea or the thought that I am bringing today to TICATE 2023, which is to highlight the importance of collaborating and bringing innovation for the use of society or human, and we tend to use this term humanizing innovation. And I believe that can only happen because of collaboration and groups of people, research centers, universities, research agencies, industry, having their individual strengths and capabilities, but complementary in each other, bringing together so that we can translate what was originally in the lab as an idea to out there as a product that can be brought to market and realized and be implemented. So in terms of humanizing innovation, we like to highlight two elements. One is research impact. And when we talk about research impact, it's all about translating, as I mentioned, what we have originally as an idea, we bring it to the experimental sphere where we validate the idea, and all the way to a real innovation, a real product that can be used by society, impacting the end users. And as I mentioned, I strongly believe that this can happen when there is collaboration, and by that I mean interdisciplinary research where the different teams are working in tandem, all in their own respective disciplines, yeah, to realize humanizing innovation. So the key point here is to translate the idea or the solution for an impeding complex problem out there in society we need to work together, and the mantra would be collaborate, collaborate, and collaborate. Yeah. Our journey in MMU, I believe, started off when we were looking at THE University Impact Rankings and the UN, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals were used as the beacon or the direction for this ranking exercise. But it is so meaningful in the sense that there are so many issues and challenges out there that needs to be addressed. And in doing so, we, as I mentioned, has to take a collaborative approach. So if we deep dive into this thought of impactful research, one can think of an impactful research as the ability to generate an outcome through a series of activities. So if we have our research that we do today, and if we couple that with good engagement with the stakeholders, the end users, the beneficiaries, beyond our lab, beyond our university, but really into the society, understanding well their needs, understanding well the requirements, and putting those two together to realize a prototype, to realize a new system, to realize a new approach that, when put together, can demonstrate a good change, something that can improve productivity, can improve sensitivity, can improve behavior. That is, what we can say. What is impactful research? Something that was originally an idea in the lab, addressing the need out there in the society, put together as a proof concept, and go all the way to being used by society, and we can say that it is impactful research. And in doing so, there has been many thoughts about starting a research project. We are typically, looking at a knowledge gap, and we scout through papers and identify what are the gaps. And usually these are very technical in nature. So what I'm proposing here is, it's not entirely wrong to do to look at journal papers to identify a problem statement. But another approach is to actually identify a long-term goal that solves a social problem or industrial problem, and work backwards to identify what are the key challenges to achieve that goal, and break it down into workable, actionable items to address these challenges. And these might be little projects that you propose, that you run with postgraduate students. And as you go along, you measure what has been achieved in order to address these challenges. So this is taking a much bigger picture rather than an individual project, but taking it at the program level. Yeah. So at MMU, we've started with this research hub, or Digital Futures Research Hub, our approach to bringing in collaboration. So just enjoy the video for a quick one.
Is there any sound of the video, Professor? We cannot hear the sound.
So in the Digital Research Hub, we looked at it as a bigger picture, a portfolio of research programs focusing on different issues in society, and because we'd like to be known as a digital university, we focus on digital related issues from digital cities to enterprise, security, education, and so on. So under each of these, there are programs like what I'm about to elaborate. So these research programs consist of multiple projects that complement each other towards addressing the challenges. Led by senior academics, in the team there are other academics working with the industry, working with stakeholders for funding, collaborating with other universities to complement our shortcomings, working with talents in the university, undergraduate students, postgraduate students, delivering the research output such as publications, but not limited to moving all the way to making an impact, bringing out the solutions to society. And we believe this is what we mean by humanizing innovation, making impact in the society. So these were some of the examples. We worked on a program related to aging society. So there was University of Malaya working with us. We had University of Brunel, UK working with us. There were thoughts about coming up with a framework for aging society, addressing some of their challenges, including also a Senior Citizens Act, working closely with the Ministry of Women and Community Development. There was another research program related to lifestyle, focusing on geohazard management, looking at landslide, using remote sensing, particularly working with Chiba University, the Malaysian Agency for Remote Sensing, addressing climate-related issues and challenges. So I'd like to end quickly here by giving a few tips. It's, I think, very important for us academics and researchers to network. This can be your old school network, your university network, people you know from previous industry or previous employer, people you know from school, yeah. So do network, collaborate, making sure you keep in touch with friends from other universities, from other industries, and in delivering humanizing innovation, as I mentioned, it's important to collaborate. So if you start with a bigger picture, what is it that you want to address? You may want to list what are the expertise that you need, facilities that you need, research expertise that you want to be included but you don't have yourself. Try to look for that in your partners, in the network that you own, and don't stop exploring. I think it's important to always want to see new things, learn about new fields, and that can bring us to greater heights. So I think I'll end here by concluding that if we were to make our work translated, our research work translated to good use, can be utilized by society, it's important to collaborate and always explore opportunities to work with friends, partners, new friends, other universities, industry, stakeholders, government agencies, you name it. If they can bring value to your journey, they should be in. And I think with that, I'd like to end saying thank you. I'm open to any further questions, any communications. Do drop me an email at iro@mmu.edu.my. Thank you.
Okay, please give applause for Professor Hairul. Thank you for the presentation. So,
Thank you.
participants, now we go to the discussion. We have several questions to the speaker. First questions to Dr. Ayub, very technical question coming from Mr. Stephen Darmawan from Mechanical Engineering faculty. So Dr. Ayub, the question is, how is the porous media related to the enthalpy of combustion since it is reducing the hydrocarbon emission? Please, Dr. Ayub.
Yeah, see, the important thing when we are evolving with respect to porous media. So if you're not using porous media, so we're just allowing the mixture of fuel and air to directly have an open reaction, right? So, so there is a less time to interact fuel and air. Okay. So, what else are we going to improve? Only if we provide sufficient area and sufficient time to propagate, because it's an exothermic reaction and energy is generated. So, if we have a sufficient time and larger area so that it combusts properly, and ultimately we can able to generate more and more energy.
Okay, I hope that will answer. Next questions to Dr. Ayub, still technical question. What is the stability rate for the combustion temperature? Coming from Ibu Niluh Putu Agung from Mechanical Engineering.
The stability rate again depends upon the type of porous media that I'm using. So far we are not using any detailed study with respect to stability. Only we use stabilization as well as stabilization with respect to thermal images we are using. If we are using a detailed study, probably we are going to consider some photoanalysis devices, okay, so as to track the behavior of the flame. So that region I have to yet explore. Hopefully that's a good one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the answer. One more technical question
Sure.
to Dr. Ayub. What is the advantage of using a double layer microporous media burner over a single layer one in terms of thermal and energy efficiency?
Okay, soon is good. So let's talk about 2 layers. Some go with 3, 4, again depends. See, the ultimate factor is based upon the velocity with which we are using fuel and air combination and what kind of stability we are expecting. Okay, so these 2 parameters need to be taken very carefully. There's something called as backlight number that we closely monitor. Okay, so we maintain a number of 65 above it. We're going to put points and matrix inside reaction zone followed by preheat zone.
Okay, thank you. So next questions, we're going to Prof. Hairul. The question is, how will numerous research methods empower and encourage younger generations to have the will to be eager in their academic lives? Please.
Thank you for the question. I think if I can relate to my own experience, I think after a while running research, there was this burning question about why does it matter about what we do in research. So there was a lot of soul searching, trying to understand how will what we do in research or what I did in research can benefit society. So after looking at that, I think the motivation was to see what we do in our labs, whether you are in electrical, electronics, photonics, mechanical, IT, data science, and so on and so forth. What is it that you can do that can eventually lead to improvement in life? So because of that, our group started looking at certain challenges and engaged with the stakeholders. And that hasn't stopped ever since. We are continuing to look at different challenges. Today, our group is looking at the oil and gas industry, looking at the fiber optic sensing for oil and gas to see how it can improve their operations. Yeah. So I think that if I can contribute my answer, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Hairul. Actually, the question is now not only to the younger generation, but sometimes we all the academician, have no time to translate the ideas to produce an impactful research. So what do you advise for this problem?
Yeah. When we first started in MMU, we felt that if we wanted to translate this research to society, we would have to do it ourselves. But I think along that journey, we realized that we cannot. It's very difficult. So that's why we started working with the industry. Now, for example, I think I can say that at least for myself as an academic, I don't have the skill sets to run the business, nor do I have skill sets to market our products. But if we were to work with the industry, they understand the market better. They have a lot more experience in marketing and running a business, and by working together, I think we can complement each other. So that's where Lumi Science, the spin-off company that I was saying, is not entirely driven by academics, but it's I think largely driven by the industry. So working together, collaborating is the best way forward. We can't do everything ourselves, apparently.
Yeah, I believe in that too. Yeah, the key word is collaboration.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. One more question for Dr. Ayub, coming from Mr. Didi. Dr. Ayub, it's quite an interesting topic. What kind of application could utilize this kind of burner in the industry or society that could have the benefit of the advancement of your research?
See, very early slides I showed. See, burner is something that you're burning a fuel, right, and you try to get the flame. Every house has burners, right? If you see, so the flame is continuously being generated, and advantage is very simple. You utilize every bit of this fuel and you get a better efficient burner. All the houses, day-to-day cooking happens on burner. All the industries, they utilize burners, from plastic industries, cosmetics, bakeries, so everywhere you go, there is a portion wherein heat is needed, a continuous supply. So the application is huge. Small scale, medium scale industries, we have petrochemical industries, everywhere heat is required to purify chemicals. So heat is a must. So my work is below the heat, how actually heat is covered. Hope I have answered.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ayub. One more question from Mr. Nathan Solagracio for Professor Hairul. How can humanizing innovation and strategic collaboration help to address the challenges and opportunities posed by the fourth industrial revolution, especially for the world's poorest and most marginalized people?
I think the way forward for that is to start with identifying the challenges in society. So I don't know offhand what is the biggest issue, but if we were to deep dive, study, and I think this is where we need our friends from the social sciences to also explore what are the issues in society pertaining to Industry 4.0 and so on and so forth. And once we have the challenges identified, I think it requires, as I mentioned in my presentation earlier, it requires us to break it down into smaller challenges that you can then identify what are the respective actions that you can take up. So these can be smaller projects that can be done collaboratively within the university, within the faculty put together as a a combination of multiple projects, that it becomes a program, and that program addresses the larger challenge. So it's, in the end, I would conclude by saying that it's about taking a bigger picture, taking it at the program level rather than only at the project level. Yeah. So we might need sort of also a top-down approach at the university level to bring people together and work on a larger, bigger challenge. Thank you. Hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Hairul, and that will be the end question and the end of this discussion session. So let me wrap up for the session. Two important keywords: collaboration and innovation. Collaboration is a key driver in humanizing innovation. By bringing people together, collaboration ensures that innovations are not just technologically advanced, but also deeply rooted in human needs and values. So thank you very much once again to the keynote speakers in TICATE for engaging and valuable discussions. Thank you for the committee for the event. We hope that what we have discussed earlier will be fruitful for all of us, for all the participants. So thank you very much, and see you next year on TICATE 2024. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ayub and Professor Hairul, and also Dr. Shirley as the moderator. And for Dr. Ayub, please accept this e-certificate as a token of our appreciation. And for Professor Hairul, please accept this e-certificate as a token of appreciation from us.
Thank you.
For Dr. Shirley, as our moderator today, you may move to the center of stage to accept a certificate as a token of appreciation from the organizing committee. Thank you, Dr. Shirley. Thank you, Sir Didi. Now, you may please return to your seat. And ladies and gentlemen, the end of plenary session 2 marks the end of this event. We would like to give massive appreciation to all speakers and presenters. We would also like to apologize for any inconveniences and mistakes throughout the events. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. For participants in the Zoom meeting, please allow me to read a few rules regarding the parallel session. Rules for participants in the parallel session of TICATE TICASH 2023. Participants, please enter the Zoom